Andrew Sluder is not saved. He's a damnable heretic.
Andrew Sluder began to teach some very heretical things.
You expose yourself as a heretic, a lying heretic.
Welcome in to another edition of the LAODICEAN Lookout Podcast. We have got some special guests with us today. In case you don't know them or recognize them, we got Caleb Pickham, one of the side co-hosts. What would be your official position on the Backwoods Bible
broadcast? I don't
broadcast?
know if I'm qualified to say what my official position is because you guys gave me the official position.
Well, I'm not sure that any of us have a position on the Backwoods Bible broadcast anymore.
Well, unless it gets monetized somehow, I think you're done with
it. well, we could talk a lot about that. But anyway, unless I'm making millions on YouTube like I do with this podcast. But we also got Randy Keener. So Caleb Pickham and Randy Keener, two familiar faces, and they're going to come on the podcast. Caleb is in here preaching. Well, you already preached. You're done preaching.
I'm done.
We took all we could take. It was supposed to go a week, but we ended it early because it was just we couldn't take it anymore. No, I'm kidding.
Your people got more truth today than they've gotten in their lifetime.
That's probably true. That's probably true. But
most revivals blow out. This one blew in.
Yeah,
we had to shut it down 4 days early.
Yeah, we did. But he preached Mission Sunday for us today. Had a good Sunday. So anyway, I feel so weird not looking at the camera. This is a new setup, if you can't tell. And so I'm going to be like this most of the time, which you guys probably won't mind looking at the side of my face. You look at the front all the time, so now you're going to look at the side view. But side profile, which I hate. But anyway, good to have you on the podcast. This is a first for both of you.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
This is the first. We've never had a guest on the podcast. Ever. Yeah.
Really?
Have we had a guest on the podcast?
So.
No, we're interviewing Chad. We were supposed to get Chad Reese this past week, but I can't remember. His mom had been sick and everything. I can't remember what exactly, but he's coming on next week, and we're going to talk about some crazy stuff.
Oh, I can imagine.
We're talking about crazy stuff on this one, though.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we are.
We always put a description in the video, so by the time that they're watching this on YouTube, there'll be some words there.
Yeah.
You know,
some words.
So,
I'm glad
wow, that's profound.
Yeah, simulation of words.
I'm glad that 3 years of sitting beside you on the Backwoods Bible broadcast, I get to be here now. I'm just like, what have I done wrong?
We're down in my office. Yeah, it's transitioned from the Backwoods Bible broadcast to this.
We're in a basement making podcasts.
We're like in a bunker at this point.
Yeah, but it's not my mom's basement like all the other guys.
But we will be gutter sniping.
We will be gutter sniping in a basement, but it's not our mother's basement. This is the Lord's basement. Praise God.
Yes, to God.
We're in the basement of the church.
This is the bog.
This is the bog. Basement of God.
3 mogs in a bog.
Yeah. Hey, 4 mogs. Jake's a mog.
I forgot.
Yeah. I don't count.
Johnny's not a mog. He's a he's a bog. He's a boy of God. He's a boy of God in the basement of God.
Rog.
Huh?
Rog,
the rapper of God. Oh man, Johnny, your face has still never been seen.
He's a man of mystery.
Hey, the other day during the podcast, I gommed something up on the screen. Thank God we were still rolling. He purposely was like. Like all you can see is like the sliver of the side of his head. It's kind of like that neighbor on the Home Improvement.
Yeah.
He's like. Anyway, oh man, so it's been fun, man. I've had a blast so far.
It's been really good.
We watched an alien movie last night that completely freaked me out.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because of the thing that happened.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So we're watching this alien movie. We won't disclose which one for sake of piety, but no, we were watching an alien movie, and we all of a sudden
it's like had an intense moment in the movie.
Intense moment in the movie, and the shelf in the closet in the living room. You know what I'm talking about? Where my wife's clothes are. Just collapsed.
It's just like a crash in the house.
Yeah.
Huge crash.
But it sounded like the house was shaking when it happened.
Like an earthquake or something like
that? Yeah.
I thought they were coming in. I was about to start
like gray aliens were like going to break in and Caleb was about to rebuke him in Jesus' name. So anyway, I plead the blood on you.
Caleb hung his suits in there and the shelf couldn't take it.
Yeah. Literally, Caleb came in and hung
too much power of God on this blue suit.
Yeah, praise God. So anyway, but you came in yesterday.
I came in yesterday, so this is a really quick trip. I came in yesterday, got in yesterday afternoon, preached today, twice, and then I got to fly home tomorrow. I got to be back at work.
I hate
Tuesday.
those kind of meetings.
But no, I'm glad, man. I had such a good time.
Oh, I know. I did that with Brother Gip when we were over there.
I mean, it's not ideal.
It's not ideal.
But it was still, I'm great.
It is rushed though. But I'm glad you came in. We ate our New Year's meal yesterday.
Yeah, we did.
We weren't able to eat it on the 1st.
Right.
I wasn't able. We were working on our kitchen, renovating our kitchen. And
Randy wouldn't eat with us, though.
Randy wouldn't eat with us. He's too good for that food.
I don't like hog jowl.
Hog Jaw doesn't like you.
I love hog jaw. You like hog jaw, Johnny? I love it. Where were you at yesterday? Why didn't you come to my...
Didn't tell me to.
That's right. Jeez. I'm a horrible friend. He is a gentleman. Johnny, you have an open invitation here, obviously. Jake, you ate hog jaw for the first time. You loved it, didn't you?
It was good.
It was
It was exactly what you said it would be. It was kind of fatty, but it was like there was that part on it that was just like amazing.
It's bacon on steroids.
Yeah.
It's delicious. It's a good
salty,
description.
Yeah, I agree.
It is super salty.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of cholesterol in it.
was
You can't
good.
taste the cholesterol, but it's in there.
Yeah.
So
If
anyway.
you get a good crispy one, it's almost like a chicharron. We
It
eat
is.
those in Texas.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
it is so good. So anyway, we had hog jaw and collard greens and black-eyed peas and
Cornbread.
Oh
You want
gosh.
to talk about cornbread?
No, let's not talk about cornbread. I usually make bomb.com cornbread. I mean,
It's
honest
as
to
good
God.
as your Baja sauce.
Yeah, as good as my Baja sauce. Well,
Legendary.
we have some.
Tide Pod.
We had Tide Pod cornbread.
Tide Pod edition.
Well, because I forgot, and I knew this. I'm such a dummy. I knew you weren't supposed to use soap and cast iron, and I just and it tasted like dish soap and that. Because I baked the cornbread in a cast iron
You're like,
skillet.
and I was like, yeah, but it's okay.
And then I tasted it and I was like, yeah, there's definitely something wrong with this. I was like, it tastes kind of like soap.
And,
Yeah.
and as soon as you said that, I was like, it's because you washed
It's because
the
I
cast
washed
iron
that
with soap.
cast iron with soap.
Yeah.
Oh well, y'all.
Lessons learned.
Lessons learned. Yeah. So, but we had a good time. Ate a good New Year's meal, and but the podcast. What we're going to do on the podcast today is we're going to talk about all the weird. We haven't had a good weird alien talk in a while.
Oh.
And it's good, or at least on the internet we have.
Right.
So we got to have a good alien, Bigfoot, whatever kind of talk. And it's interesting that you are here when we're doing this podcast because you actually had some news that you showed
Yeah, I just saw it.
from the New York Post.
Yeah, New York Post. And they were saying how that a UFO was sighted in Hawaii last Tuesday, which would have been, what, the 29th, I think?
29th.
So, and it was seen flying above Hawaii. Multiple people saw it. You can look up the video on YouTube. You can see it. It's like a purple, it's a
Purple cigar shape.
purple cigar shape. They said it was longer than a telephone pole, and it went down into the ocean. You know, a lot of them do that. That's a common thing for them to go down into the ocean. As a matter of
A
fact,
USO.
yeah, USO.
Yeah.
An underwater or unidentified submerged object.
Or submergible object, yeah.
We
Yeah.
went to Tampico.
Yeah, that's what I was just
Yeah,
talking about.
and they're known for that. As a matter of fact, when we were there, like the people acted like it was nothing.
yeah,
Yeah.
they see them all the time.
They said if we wanted to see one, they said go out, lay on the dock about October at, I think they said, 3, 4 in the morning, and they said you'll see one.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it was nothing to them.
Although I think there's a lot more dangerous things going on at 3 or 4 in the morning in Tampico, Mexico, than the UFOs.
I agree with that.
I mean, I believe the aliens are demons, and I'd
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
safer in one of those UFOs than on a dock in Tampico at 4 in the
I
morning.
agree with that.
hey, let's real quick. Let's go around here. Who here has seen a UFO of some kind? Because I have had a couple of
You've
sightings.
seen one.
Yeah.
You've had a couple of sightings.
Well,
I thought it was
if
just
you
the
count,
one.
I had one UFO sighting, and I've seen the Brown Mountain Lights,
Okay.
which I don't know what those are. So.
Are do people think those are UFOs?
It's one theory. The government's
you
done
saw
studies.
because you and I did that together.
Yeah, we did it together.
Yeah.
But I went back, and the next time I went back, I saw one that was like crazy.
Okay, so would you count that as so you've had an actual UFO
I had
sighting?
a close encounter of the first kind.
Of the
which
first
means
kind.
It's one that you see that doesn't land, but it's close. It's within like 500 feet.
Okay, so go through the encounters. That's the first encounter. Second encounter.
That's well, Randy, why don't you do this? Because you're an investigator.
Yeah, but
Yeah, we have an official MUFON investigator.
Yeah.
MUFON is the
It's been a while since
What's
I
MUFON?
Mutual UFO
UFO
Network.
Okay, so a close encounter of the first kind is like a sighting that is
it within
it does
500
not land,
feet?
but it's within 500 feet.
Okay.
A close encounter of the second kind is one within 500 feet that actually lands, right?
Mhm.
Is that right? And then I'm thinking a third kind that leaves some kind of mark on the ground.
Yeah.
Like it could be like downed power lines or burn marks on the ground. It leaves something behind when it leaves.
And a fourth encounter is
It's
actually
where you
seeing
have
the alien.
You have some kind of interaction with the alien. You see it.
Yeah.
You may have a conversation with it. It may talk to you by like telepathy or whatever.
Right.
But in a
There is
fifth
a fifth
kind,
kind, too.
fifth kind is
Abduction.
the scary one. That's an abduction. I mean, they're all scary.
Yeah.
But a fifth kind is an abduction.
Okay, so you've had a first.
Or even murder.
Yeah.
Like it's like drastic levels.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a first kind encounter. That was about probably it was several years ago.
Okay, so would you count your Brown Mountain Lights experience as a UFO sighting?
No, not in the traditional sense.
Okay, besides that, have you had one? Besides that,
So I got a crazy story, but I don't know what it was.
above the Ingalls and Lester.
Above the Ingalls and Lester.
You told me that.
Yeah, so
You saw something like dripping.
yeah, but
burning.
I thought it was a dream for years.
But your wife had the same memory, or
Yeah,
wife
yeah.
present, or not present, former wife.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
she had the same memory, but I didn't know that about that till years later. Yeah, my kids told me
That's
that.
cool.
Johnny, you ever had an encounter with UFO? Jake?
No.
I knock on wood, I haven't either. I've never had. I always get so spooked when I say this. I've never had any paranormal encounter. Now watch like stuff start flying around my room tonight, you know. So
We thought we had one last night.
yeah,
Yeah, we did.
come to find out, Caleb just hung his suits on my clothes rack. So you've seen the UFOs, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But here's the thing about UFOs. First of all, we believe that biblically that there's stuff flying around.
Show them the picture.
Oh, what, my Bible?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you got a picture.
No, we're just against it.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
we are.
against it.
Yes. To
Yeah,
God.
y'all have
that
seen that
in
on
my
my
Bible.
iPad. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're biblically, we believe Genesis 6, sons of God, has to be. There's no way around that passage. I mean, unless you just want to break your neck trying to explain it. You've got the flying roll of Zechariah
That's a godly
5.
line of Seth.
Godly line, yeah. Well, that's in the Schofield Bible. That's what it says.
Schofield Bible.
Schofield Bible. But here's the thing: even if you take, if there was just an absence of Scripture on the subject, if we're just going to completely leave out Scripture, there's too much smoke not to be fire. There's too many people from too many parts of the world, from too many walks of life, that have all reported the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, they're seen all over the world. Thousands of people see them every year. The U.S. Navy has seen them. They tried to chase them before,
They have tried to chase
and they can't catch them. Like, we don't have the capability to keep up with them.
So, all three of us have preached at a church in Kentucky, and I assume we've all three been to Fort Knox, right?
Yes.
I've never been.
I have.
Okay. Well, you've been near there. You've been on the area that would be considered Fort Knox.
Okay.
They tried to chase one there, and the pilot died in pursuit.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of the G forces, or just had a heart attack,
So
or
what happened
alien
was,
shot him?
if I remember the story right, it started climbing the UFO. The pilot went into a climb with it, and I think he just blacked out somewhere along it, fell to his death.
snot.
Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, there's been too many. And here's the thing: in the midst of all this coronavirus stuff, our government has confirmed that there are things flying
They
around in
call
our
them
sky.
UAPs,
Okay, tell me the UAP. What does that stand for?
unidentified aerial phenomena.
Okay, they
But
have
it's a UFO. They
Yeah.
just don't like to use that term now
because
of
there's
the
a stigma. Exactly.
But so now they're calling them UAPs, but it's the same thing.
So you've got the Navy and the Pentagon both saying, "Hey, we've got film, we've done investigations. There's stuff flying around in our skies that we do not believe is of earthly origin." Of course, we as Bible believers would believe it's all of earthly origin. It's just, they're masking themselves as these extraterrestrials or whatever. Okay, so at that point, you've got the government releasing that stuff, but it's in the midst of this pandemic.
Yeah, what a weird time.
Yeah, coincidence.
I mean, our government's literally saying, "Hey, folks, there's stuff flying around in our skies that we don't believe is of this planet," and I'm getting screamed at for not wearing a mask in Ingalls.
Yeah, I know. So it's like, for some reason, our world is so crazy now.
Yeah.
That the fact that the U.S. government, the Pentagon, acknowledges UFOs is in the news for like 32 seconds.
Yeah.
Can someone explain to me what's happening in this world?
Well, it's like we're much more scared of a virus that has a 99% survival rate than we are like potential invaders flying around in our air. I mean, it could, for all the Lost World knows, this could be the next Armageddon movie.
Yeah.
Or Alien or something, and we're worried about a flu-like disease.
It's crazy.
Virus.
Strange.
It really is. Okay, so let's talk about, though,
Go ahead.
the news that you brought up today.
Well, I mean, like I say, you can find it was on the New York Post.
Yeah.
And but that's really all I know on it. You can look it up and see the videos on YouTube. But multiple people saw it and videoed it, and it was in
It was in Hawaii.
Hawaii, and it went down into the ocean.
But they don't know if it's a crash or if it. But see, in Tampico, and you can. By the way, Johnny, let's put at the end of this video, let's put my UFO documentary on the suggested video, because it was me, Randy, and Caleb. We made a documentary. This is a little short, not anything professional, but we made a documentary on aliens out in Tampico.
Because we talked to a bunch of people who've.
We did, and
encounters.
they report the UFOs just flying and then just plunging right into the ocean. So this could have been a crash. The New York Post kind of reported it like a crash type.
Yeah, at some parts of the article it sounded like a crash, but it's hard to say because we do know that there are a lot of sightings where they go down into the ocean. And that's not only, I mean, Tampico is one, but that's not the only time that happened.
You know, if I'm not mistaken, John Wesley had an entry in his diary about UFOs that are submerged.
I've heard.
You know what I have? Do you know the
I wanted to
language? Do you know
confirm
the
it.
language in that? Like what he said?
No.
Because I have. Is it John or Charles?
I think it was John.
Yeah.
Because I have Charles Wesley's journal here.
No, it's John. I'm pretty sure of it.
So that's interesting though because both of the Wesley boys had a lot of strange encounters with paranormal type, and what they believed they were encountering like demon possessed people and spirits and stuff. It was a common thing to happen to them.
Well, I mean, even Martin Luther had a place where he threw the ink.
Yeah,
well,
that's still staying to this day.
Yeah, at an apparition he saw, like Satan.
Yeah.
You know.
He also talked about how he drove Satan away.
Well, different podcast, different time.
Yeah.
And this we've talked. I don't know if I've ever talked about this. This is a
that is a Bigfoot dropping.
wrong.
Yes.
Fake news.
Fake news. This is a Peruvian effigy stone. Caleb, why don't you talk about this really
Well,
quick?
I don't know a ton about them, but basically in Peru they found these stones, and also I back home in Texas I have a replica of a actual human skull that's elongated, very tall, similar to this, and of course there are different theories about whether those skulls are just normal human skulls that they do that head binding in order to elongate them. But that still raises the question if it's just or if it's something related to aliens. I would tend to think it's probably a head binding thing. But the question obviously becomes if they were binding their heads, they were trying to make their children look like something.
Yeah.
And the question has to be what? And of course, so the theory of these effigy stones is that you have what appears to be a skull, something similar to a human skull, except it's very long. And so the theory is they were worshiping these things that came down from the sky. And of course, to to the world, that would be an alien. But to you and I, we know the sons of God, the fallen angels, they came down to the daughters of men.
Yeah. Here's the thing about UFOs is wisdom's about to be justified. You mentioned it. Wisdom's about to be justified of our children.
Yeah. I mean, I really believe that.
I really do too.
I've had people laugh, and we all have had people laugh at us like it was foolishness, but I mean, the Pentagon says we're not crazy.
Yeah.
Those people are crazy.
The latest coronavirus bill, and you can look this up on Fox News.
Yeah, this is crazy.
Has a 180-day countdown that the government, Pentagon, has to release what they have on UFOs. It's in the coronavirus bill.
Yeah.
President Trump, the first sitting U.S. president to ever leave open the possibility of aliens.
Yeah.
you can watch several clips on that. We've talked about that. Jake, give me my Black is Beautiful right there. Now, if you want to stay up for a couple of days.
If you want to never sleep again.
Black is Beautiful by Dr. Ruckman. This book, I love the back of this book. So Black is Beautiful, boom. The very first line, this book is not about black people. What is that?
Yeah, I have that at home.
This book is not about black people. This is a book about basically aliens and all the stuff that goes along with it, and all the way back from biblical times throughout history. And the crazy thing about this book is that Dr. Ruckman was so ahead of his time when he wrote. I think this book was written in 97. Yeah, 96, reprint in 97, and he was so ahead of his time. And I wish that he could have been alive to see our government actually, confirm the existence of these things, because he was mocked and ridiculed and laughed at for this book. But, wisdom's being justified. Randy, let's talk about this for a second, because, there may be some skeptics watching. But you, a couple of years ago, were a non-believer.
Yeah.
What made you become a believer?
So, I guess it was just the fact that ever increasingly there's more and more people, more and more reports. Somebody's seeing something. I mean, that's what it boils down to. I believed Genesis 6 as everybody believed it. I'm very skeptical, and I'm still skeptical of a lot of people.
Yeah, I don't think everybody's telling the truth.
No.
But I don't think everyone is lying. Or crazy either.
And I also don't think that it's that people are lying or crazy on the same token, because, okay, so I have looked at a lot of MUFON cases. And I don't even know how many it is, but out of all the ones I looked at, there's only one that I would say has any validity. So people send me videos of balloons. That was one. I had a red balloon. I had a Mylar balloon. I had a really big cloud. I mean, it's stuff that I don't even know how they're confusing.
Right.
But
I'm going to anonymously send in one that's like a frisbee. Like me holding a frisbee.
Well, there's several hoaxes.
Yeah.
That are just like obvious hoaxes. But so it's not that some people are crazy or even lying. They're seeing something. What is that? And it's obviously not that. But then there are the few that you're like, okay, that's something that we can't quite explain. Yeah, I actually spoke with a pilot at one of the meetings that you and I were at recently, and the pilot told me that it's common for pilots to see UFOs. He said that he saw tons of them, but they try not to allow it to affect their job, because if he would have been reporting this stuff, he's afraid of psych evaluations and stuff like that. So he'd kind of keep it under his hat. But,
I've heard of that before.
Well, he told me he had a friend that just almost went crazy with it. That's all he ever wanted to talk about was, man, I saw this.
It sounds like
UFO
somebody I would like.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, people are seeing stuff, and people who are legitimate operators, like they are trained to notice aircraft and stuff like that. There's a big difference in the guy down the road seeing something, a Mylar balloon, and a military pilot seeing something.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a huge difference.
And I mean, there have been so many pilots who have said, I mean, to the point where it's almost like these guys don't even question anymore. Like, it's been so many for so long, it's just like an accepted thing that if you're in... Astronauts report seeing that stuff all the time. So I don't know. Too much smoke not to be fired. Caleb, you look like you had something.
Well, I was just going to say, going back to the effigy stones and things like that, there's an interesting verse there in Acts chapter 19 and verse 35, where the town clerk had appeased the people. He said, Ye men of Ephesus, what man is there that knoweth not how the city of the Ephesians is a worshipper of the great goddess Diana, and of the image which fell down from Jupiter? Now, did that image really come from Jupiter? I don't know. But those people were worshiping this image that they believe came from space.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, you remember Paul and Silas?
Paul and Silas.
That's what they told them. The gods are come down. That's in what Acts 14, I think. They said the gods are come down to us, and I think it's Acts 14.
Yeah, they thought they were Mercury and.
You already there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
In my brain.
don't even have my Bible. It's in my brain, preacher.
Acts 14, 11, and 12. And when the people saw what Paul had done, they lifted up their voices, saying a speech of Lycaonia, the gods are come down to us in the likeness of men. And they called Barnabas Jupiter and Paul Mercury's because he was the chief speaker.
That's cool.
And then it says, and the priest of Jupiter, which was before the city. So they had a whole religion based on something
Jupiter.
from space.
Yeah. And of course, here's the thing,
The New Testament Christians had to deal with this kind of issue.
Well, here's the thing. Paul in his writings, of course, the book of Colossians, and I'm eventually going to put out a commentary on Colossians.
Okay.
I'm really familiar with it. I love the book. And the thing about Colossians is
I'm really familiar with it.
I memorized the whole book. No, the thing about Colossians is that there is the Laodicean church is mentioned 5 times in Colossians. So there is a direct connection between what Paul was writing in Colossians and the Laodicean church. And I need a Bible real quick. Jacob, can you get me a Bible?
Schofield Bible?
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I think it's Schofield Bible. So there's a direct connection between the last days and the book of Colossians, okay? Because we're living in the Laodicean era. The book of Colossians was supposed to be read in the Laodicean church. We're truly living in the days he spoke about.
We're looking out for them on this podcast.
Yeah, we're looking out. So we're the Laodicean lookout. We're looking out in Laodicea, and one of the things I think is so interesting. So Colossians, direct correlation with the end times, the last days of the church. Paul clearly says in Colossians, he gives a warning in Colossians chapter 2 and verse number 8, beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ. Then he goes on down to say in verse 18, let no man beguile you. That's the same language used for the serpent to Eve.
That's true.
He said, so that cross reference there is Satan and Eve. Okay, Satan, of course, being the ultimate fallen angel. He says, let no man beguile you of your reward in a voluntary humility and worshiping of angels. Why in the world would Paul be warning the Colossian church about worshiping angels? And it says, intruding into those things which he hath not seen, vainly puffed up by his fleshly mind. And that's where you get into all the crystals and the third eye and, all that kind of stuff. But Paul makes a staunch warning in the book of Colossians, directly related to the church of the end times, that you're not supposed to worship angels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's there. And what are these angels? They are these beings, and they are angels. I mean, they're fallen angelic beings.
I mean, we know that Satan is going, or the Antichrist is going to enter into the temple and declare himself to be God.
Well, it also contained within Pauline doctrine to the church is the warning against believing another gospel.
I was just going to bring that up. Yep.
Gives it to you.
Yeah, that's a good
So,
point.
of course, we're speaking theoretically, but imagine.
But it's not as big a stretch as it was a few years ago.
Exactly. Well, 20 years ago, if you talked about stuff like this, you were just a nutcase. Yeah, exactly. You were crazy. You were nuts, and all that. But talking about this today, theoretically speaking, if a UFO arrived, or if they said they had contact, and those beings said that they created us, panspermia, which is being moved onto the scene as a valid explanation of origin.
Yeah.
If they created us, they're the ones who put us here, and so therefore they deserve our worship. I mean, what kind of changes would shift, and how are people going to react to that when they hear things like that?
Well, going back to what you said, Paul gives a warning not just about the worshiping of angels, but about angels bringing other gospels. If the church age was to never have to worry, and of course we understand those verses are very well applicable to Islam,
Sure.
to
Mormonism.
Mormonism
Yeah.
specifically. We understand that completely, but the warning is still there. There is still the possibility of an angel showing up and preaching another gospel in the church age. And going back to what you said about this whole panspermia, scientists, and y'all could probably comment more on this than I can, because this is just a little bit out of my range of or sphere of study, but scientists right now are dissatisfied with the theory of evolution. A growing number...
They can't give up on it, but they're having to find new options for how it started.
Exactly. Just a bunch of nothing exploding is, strangely enough, having a hard time settling into the minds of people. Yeah. There was a whole bunch of nothing and it exploded and created everything. But that's literally what you have to believe. If you believe in atheistic evolution, it's just, it can't be. It's a statistical impossibility and a physical impossibility.
Right.
They had to come from somewhere. So what these scientists are doing is they're now saying, okay, we're here. We believe in evolution, but there's no way that it statistically just happened by chance. So something planted it and guided it, or whatever. And so, of course, the Bible's not the answer for these guys. So they have to come up with something. And aliens is a growing theory that a lot of people are liking and embracing. Yeah. And so then you have, like you said, you have these guys show up saying, hey, we're here. We're your creator. What do you naturally do to a creator? You worship the creator.
Right. Yeah.
Well, it's a natural impossibility, but also it's a logical impossibility. For years, great thinkers, not necessarily Christian thinkers, but people who are regarded as great thinkers like Aristotle, he reasoned that there had to be a prime mover. There had to be an origin to where everything began to move. And so theoretically, they have to find that. Evolution doesn't provide that. Panspermia does.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so it's crazy, and the warnings in the church age. Caleb, you look like you had something else to add.
No, I was just going to say, going back to what you were saying a while ago about how that there's just too much smoke. I forget the numbers, and because I don't have my notes on this stuff with me, because I wasn't anticipating doing a podcast about
I understand
aliens, but I do have a bunch of notes on some of this kind of stuff back home, and there was a Roper poll back in the 90s where they took a poll across the U.S. about people who've seen UFOs and or had alien abductions, and it's literally they estimate it could be in the millions of people who've seen UFOs, and without revealing any names, because many of them are people that I would want to protect their privacy. I personally know at least probably close to half a dozen people who've seen UFOs. I personally know at least 3 people who've had abduction experiences. Wow. So it's much more common than most of us would. And I'll be honest, I think most of the viewers, your friends may not tell you, but most of you know at least one person that's seen a UFO. And I would dare to venture that most of you, if they would be honest and tell you, most of you know somebody who's had an abduction experience. It's much more common than anyone wants to know, but they don't want to admit it because people won't believe them. People will think they're crazy.
They're crazy.
And
people who have reported abductions, I forgot where the poll was. You can find these all online. I mean, it's simple
not hard,
research.
yeah.
But there's enough people that have actually reported their abduction to fill the 14 lowest populated states in the U.S. That's a lot of people.
I mean, that's a lot of people. Most of us know somebody,
not
or else
seen
know
them,
somebody who has been abducted,
they were abducted,
taken.
They were taken. Yeah,
and that's very. I know people like to make little jokes about aliens and stuff, but I'll just be serious with you for a second. If a human takes somebody against their will, we throw those people in prison. That's not funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's called human trafficking. Okay, and I'm not for that.
Yeah.
But sadly, many of these people feel like they can't talk to anybody, feel like, they don't have any hope. There's no one that can give them any relief.
Yeah.
So they really feel hopeless. And sometimes it's not even uncommon for those people to try to go to church or go to Christians and thinking maybe these people can tell me what's happening to me. Mm-hmm. And all they get is laughed out the door. And it's really sad that Christians who claim to believe in a paranormal world, because we believe in angels, we believe in devils, and yet we're not prepared or willing to face the possibility that these evil beings are hurting people in our world.
Yeah.
The one case that I looked into and communicated some with the individual that had some validity to it, that I felt there was something there, was a lady that was saying that beings were coming in her room.
That's scary.
Yeah, and then she's all of a sudden sent an email, said, she don't want to talk about it no more, she's done.
It's crazy. It's just absolutely nuts. Okay, so this begs the question, though. Okay, we're talking about aliens, UFOs, blah, blah, to the skeptics out there. Because there's no doubt going to be skeptics. People, I don't know. I mean, to me, honestly, guys, the Bible's plain enough. But there's going to be skeptics out there saying you're nuts, you're crazy. My whole thing at this point, okay, especially your guys who are trying to build large churches, right? Build large churches. Don't want to get controversial. Don't want to talk about this stuff. At what point do you recognize and just kind of come out and say, okay, like how much more proof does a skeptic need? Or how much, I should say, evidence. Right. How much more evidence does a skeptic need with all this stuff? And what I think may happen, now this is just, this is a little bit crazy, but I think we're speculating here, but I think what's eventually going to happen is you're going to have the government just come out and full blown say like, yes. Oh man, I forgot. I didn't even remember. When Johnny, we talked about this. I don't think on a podcast, but a former security defense guy or something from Israel, a head of state in Israel or something. One of the heads,
general in Israel.
Something, yeah, he was something high up, and he literally was like, "Hey, the U.S. and Israel have both been in contact with these extraterrestrials. Like we know about them."
That's nuts, man.
So, I mean, at what point, how many people are in on the conspiracy? How many people are lying? How many people are trying to just... And you really have to ask yourself, okay, if this is not... And this is like all the people who claim to be Bible believers out there. If this is not, deception by, fallen angels or whatever, then what the heck is it?
Say that's the question, and we're not the only ones asking this. The Roman Catholic Church takes aliens so serious that they have a
provision.
They have a provision for what they're going to start teaching their people about aliens when they come.
Really?
Yes, the Roman Catholic Church has a provision in place for what they're going to teach about if they need salvation, like we do, or what they are. They have a huge telescope out in the middle of the desert in like Arizona, Nevada.
Tell them what it's called.
It's called the Lucifer Telescope. Yes, that's really what it's called. And they're looking for something out there. And
and they've already, the Pope, it was either Pope Benedict or the current one, Pope Francis. I don't remember. Already was like, if there are aliens, we will be more than glad to baptize them into the Roman Catholic Church.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure he's like, and if they have any money and gold.
So if they have any children.
Yeah, if they have any children, we'll be sure to get them. And if they have any money, we'll be sure to get them.
Everything they got. My name is Jimmy. I'll take all you get.
Yeah, let's just hope
my name is Pope Jimmy.
Yeah.
Take all you get.
If those aliens are going to become Catholic, let's just hope they're genderless anyway.
I agree with that.
Because here's the thing. All right, either way you look at it, let's just say for a second that we are atheistic evolutionists, and we have, everything came from nothing. We can't explain it, but let's just say there is no rhyme or reason. When you take the statistical possibility of Earth being created, it's so low. It's literally considered a statistical impossibility. Okay, but with the vastness of the universe, there's a formula. I cannot remember what it's called. Did I give you a book on aliens one time when you were here?
I have it at home.
It's in that book. Okay. I think it's called the Draconian Formula.
I think so.
I'm almost positive it's called the Draconian Formula. And what it basically teaches is, with the vastness of the universe, that statistically there has to be other Earths that have similar conditions to ours that would have created the same similar effects of evolution.
Right. If evolution is a thing.
If evolution
it has
is a
to be
thing,
happening elsewhere.
Because of how big our universe is. It's called the draconian formula. And so the question then becomes, okay, well, statistically, even though the possibilities of this happening is so low, because of how big our universe is, it's probably happened at least one other time. So you now have to believe in life on other planets because of that. And now you have to say, if there is life on other planets, how long ago did they form?
Yep.
How much more advanced are they? Do they have technology beyond ours? If they are
they
out there,
colonizing other planets?
are they colonizing other planets? Are they traveling? Have they been here? The list goes on and on and on, because the possibilities just remain so open.
And if that was true, which obviously none of us here believe in evolution, but if that is true, then, and if they do have the ability to travel, presumably they would be colonizing other planets. Those planets should be able to evolutionize faster, because they're taking the technology that they already have and putting it into this new planet. So it should be happening faster and faster every time.
Yeah. I mean, if they're out there, have they figured out how to bend time and space and travel through black holes? To that in itself is a black hole. Talking about all that stuff.
Yeah, never ending.
But it begs the question. What was the quote from last night on that beginning of that movie? There are only two options. We are either alone in the universe, or we are not alone in the universe, and both options are terrifying.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. So anyway,
a good book on the alien abduction phenomena is the Alien Abduction Files by Kathleen Martin and Dennis Stoner. Very good, well-researched book, and one of the authors is a abduction experiencer, and also they interviewed a number of others, so it's very good. Another one that's really good, excuse me, Incident at Devil's Den by Terry Lovelace, and he is a abduction experiencer and had a terrible experience. Very cruel. These things do not come in peace. Whatever they are, they do not come in peace.
yeah.
From a more Christian perspective, the Omega Conspiracy,
Yeah.
I.D.E. Thomas, that's a pretty good one.
Okay.
Yeah. But, hey, Johnny, really quick, if you could do something for me, look up I want to know who that Israeli guy is. Look that up for me real quick, if you don't mind. And while he's looking that up, because I do want to give you that, because that was a crazy article.
Yeah.
That was
pretty
really
bizarre.
nuts. But while he's looking that up, the good news is that if you're a Bible-believing Christian, though, you really don't have to worry about aliens.
That is true. And actually, the crazy thing is, according to several sources, the only group of people that have never been abducted by aliens is Bible-believing Christians. Now, there are people who profess to be Christians who've been abducted, but what they call them Bible-believing, living it Christians. People that are committed to Christianity as a way of life. Those people have never been abducted by aliens, and I mean, that's what the Bible says. 1 John chapter 4 and verse number 4. Ye are of God, little children, and have overcome them, because greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world.
And Dr. Ruckman even talked about that back in '96 when he wrote this, that Bible-believing Christians just don't get abducted. They just don't report. And I think that might be one of the reasons why so few of them believe this stuff.
Yeah.
The Christian world in general.
They don't have to interact with it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Alien Intrusion.
Alien Intrusion. There's the book Alien Intrusion by Gary
Bates.
Yeah, Gary Bates. And there's a really good documentary by the same name, Alien Intrusion. It's
Same guy.
Yeah,
Gary
and it's
Bates.
on Amazon Prime. And really, everybody should watch that. It's such a good documentary. Really well done.
Who we got, Johnny? Oh. There it is.
Johnny don't even want his voice out here.
Yeah, he don't even want to know what people sound like.
Yeah.
It's coming. He's like, my name is Johnny. Hang on. I'm pulling up the article here. It's on NBC. This was NBC News. If you think that's a credible news source, I don't know, but
You can make your own decision.
make your own decision. What's the guy's name? Okay, here's what it says. A former Israeli space security chief has sent eyebrows shooting heavenward by saying that Earthlings have been in contact with extraterrestrials from a galactic federation. His name is Haim Eshed, a former head of Israel's Defense Ministry's Space Directorate. And you know, another thing was the fact that he said that in cooperation agreements had been signed between species, including an underground base in the depths of Mars, where there are American astronauts and alien representatives. There's an agreement between the U.S. government and the aliens. They signed a contract with us to do experiments here, is what he said. Eshed added, now this is where it gets crazy. Eshed added, or Eshed, I don't know however you say that, added that President Donald Trump was aware of the extraterrestrials' existence and had been on the, quote, verge of revealing information, but was asked not to in order to prevent mass hysteria. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is this is not some kind of white. And notice what Trump did. What did Trump start? The Space Force.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The Space Force.
Which I'm just going to tell you the truth. If I'd have known that there would be a chance by now to be in Space Force fighting aliens, I would have joined the Air Force when I was 18. I'll just tell you right now.
All right, Johnny just sent me another thing here. Hang on, I'm waiting for it to come through. Hang on, I'm waiting for it to come through, Johnny.
I'm getting a text here from my pastor asking me what time I'm getting home.
It's the first two.
I'll text him back after we get
All right, they're not coming through because you probably got bad signal here because you're not an
because you're in a
iPhone guy.
bunker. Because you're in a bunker.
What I'm saying is it doesn't send through the Wi-Fi.
By next week, this is going to be lead line.
I'm like saying I'm gonna have trouble receiving it because it's not.
There's going to be a lot of people having trouble receiving this broadcast.
I agree with all of it.
Yeah. All right, there we go. All right. So this right here, British naturalist Alfred Wallace, is that what you're showing me? All right. British naturalist Alfred Wallace co-developed the theory of natural selection and evolution with Charles Darwin, who is most often credited with the idea to adjust to new surroundings or a new situation, a group of closely scattered islands in a large body of water. In 1858, Wallace reportedly, I have no idea what this is going to say, so I'm getting all this just
This is hot off the press.
hot off the press.
From 1859.
Yeah.
Okay. In 1858, Wallace reportedly had an extreme vision during the hallucinations caused by tropical fever. After the fever went away, Wallace discovered that the theory of evolution by natural selection had come to him in his dream. That's crazy.
That's very bizarre.
Where did you find that?
I heard about it a long time ago.
You heard about it. That's bizarre. I've never heard that before.
I never have either.
So
That's interesting.
I think one thing that people do need to think about, though, is if anything does come of this, which it seems like the government believes that there may be.
Yeah.
If anything does come of this, how's that going to affect your church?
Right.
Well, like churches like mine and like...
Oh, yeah, like there'll be none effect. Everybody will be like, yeah, we've been expecting this. You can't shoot a demon.
Yeah. You can with the old black back 66
Yeah!
Woo! Yeah, I mean, what are the fundamentalists going to do?
Well, you know what's funny is that there's more and more, of course, I listen to all kinds of podcasts, but there's more and more guys going on podcasts with religious backgrounds. And I'm talking about like Southern Baptist guys and stuff like that. Not necessarily what we are, but not an incredible amount of distance away from us.
Right, sure.
And they're, they're kind of looking at the same stuff we are with this.
Yeah.
And some of them, of course, they'll be Hebrew and Greeking it up, talking about the Nephilim and whatnot. But
they're trending in the same general direction.
Yeah, they're moving in the same direction we're in with this.
Yeah, it's, churches like mine, I know churches like Charity, it's not going to be any type of shock I mean, I don't preach on it frequently at all. But I mean, it's been a few times in sermons and stuff I've mentioned.
It's been talked about.
It's been talked about plenty.
Sure.
Plenty. So, I remember, you got to tell this story.
Okay.
First time I ever preached at Tony Duty's.
Yeah, so first night at Brother Duty's, Andrew leans over and he says, I think I'm going to be preaching on aliens tonight.
The coming alien deception.
Yeah, and, I told him I thought it was a bad idea. I was even getting on board with all this and thought it was a bad idea. And he said, no, that's what I'm going to do. And
the Holy Ghost whispered in my ear.
I don't know about that. But, anyway, the majority of the people at the meeting were older people.
Yeah.
And I dare say that they had never heard anything like this. Because, they were just staring, man. They were just staring. And, good meeting, though. And the meeting went on. Everything was great. After he left, Brother Spurgeon.
I love Brother Spurgeon.
Yeah, Brother Spurgeon was there. And Brother David Spurgeon goes, I like that Sluder fella, but, first thing at a revival meeting, I don't know if I'd preach about angels sleeping around with humans.
Maybe somebody get convicted.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
If the altar gets full on
Yeah, if the altar gets full, we got some problems going on. Good night. Well, we have been right at, 50 minutes on this podcast. Yeah. It's a little bit longer
Let
than
me
normal.
just say this.
Yeah.
I know
Closing
we need to
words.
wrap up, but I do want to say this. I really want to encourage Christians and pastors to just consider this. Maybe read some of this, maybe watch the documentary. Consider some of this because, again, you may not, they may not be telling you, but you will meet people in your life who've had, at the very least, have seen a UFO, and in all likelihood, you'll meet someone who's had an abduction experience, and these people, they feel hopeless, they feel lost, they don't think anyone can help them. A lot of people don't know that it's a common thing for abduction experiences to be reoccurring. You know this, Randy. So a lot of times it starts with someone when they're a child and it'll happen to them all through their life. And we need but we know the thing that can set them free. Bible-believing Christians don't get abducted by aliens. And we can help these people if we would stop mocking them and start giving them the gospel.
Yeah. And I'd say this to pastors out there. It is a dangerous thing. Anything dealing with paranormal is dangerous to get lost in because it does have a natural draw to it. So I'm not saying get lost in it, but, it's not bad to have a little bit of knowledge in your back pocket.
Yeah.
Because especially as days progress, I do think
It's going to be more and more.
deal with more people who have problems with
In the
stuff
next
like
180
this.
days.
Next 180 days.
I'm telling you what,
That's crazy.
that is crazy. At least Trump, if Trump gets back in on January 6th, at least I will feel protected from the aliens.
I said that for Caleb. Thank you. Very good.
I feel safer under Trump than I would under Biden from an alien invasion.
Well, I don't disagree with that.
I feel safer under Trump from any kind of invasion.
Yeah. I think Trump would try to nuke them. Just start sending nukes into the
They're
air.
in California.
Yeah. Well, that would solve a lot of problems. But anyway, Biden would try to sniff them. Although Biden may not try to sniff them, he would see that he might be what he doesn't have any. Well, they don't have any hair, so I'm not sure he would try to sniff them.
I think Hillary's a lizard person.
Maybe.
I think she's a reptilian.
I wonder if they have kids of Joe Biden would like him bouncing in his lap,
Swimming in the pool.
swimming in the pool, rubbing his hair, his leg hair.
They're only like 4.5 feet, so he would treat them like children. He'll have them on his knee.
Jeez, we may have to edit this last part out so I don't get I want to make money off this video. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, folks, I hope you've enjoyed the podcast. A little bit of it, huh?
I said no, he's not.
Huh? My what? Oh yeah. Oh, and we're gonna be redoing my office here soon, hopefully. But my wife, I wanted to share everybody. My wife bought me this for Christmas. I may be wrong, but I doubt it.
I agree with that. We may be wrong.
Yeah. But I doubt
I
it.
doubt it.
I doubt it. I doubt it. There's, people say, could you, I have guys who'll say, well, Brother Sluder, about this, that, or the other. Is there the possibility that you're wrong? And I say, yes, there's always a possibility that I'm wrong, as long as the Bible becomes wrong with me. So anyway, hey, I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Boy, this was a much heavier podcast than, last time we were drinking soda water and eating Fruity Pebbles chocolate. Yeah, talking about tithing and stuff, and now we're talking about, the people being abducted by aliens. So anyway, but I've enjoyed it. Thank you, Jim, thank you, Jim and Middleman. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on. And until next time, be on the lookout, because we're in Laodicea, and this is the Laodicean Lookout.